Hello, everyone, and welcome to a lovely observation of life where we are exploring the different parts of awakening, different layers of awakening, and we're just being open to receive anything that wants to come through. I'm a channeler, and I use my intuition to be guided to what I need to bring into this podcast and what needs to be said and understood. And I always try to simplify it as much as possible so it's not overwhelming or too much or just the same information. I'm trying to bring it from different perspectives because I have abilities to understand many perspectives, because I'm open, and I feel like everyone that's listening here right now are exactly the same way, that you're quite open to receiving different layers of consciousness, but also different perspective from other beings, of other humans, of even plants and animals. So today's topic is Satsang and Sangha, and I'm going to touch upon Satori a little bit. And if this is the first time that you've heard these words and you're like, what is she talking about? I have no idea, and that's okay. If it is the first time that you're hearing it, it is exactly the message that you need to hear. If you've heard this before, you know what satsang is. That's wonderful. I just want to start by saying that a lovely observation of life is different parts of awakening and consciousness. And we've been talking about the Akashic records, and we've touched upon past lives, which I've shared mine. That was a very scary part, and I'm thankful to all of you that are holding that open space for me to do so. I feel very honored to have you all listening to this podcast and, just supporting me, and so that we can support each other in this growth and just to create a place of love. It feels so wonderful, and I'm at awe with all of it. It's so beautiful and it's so wonderful, and I couldn't even imagine that even one person would even see it. These videos that I've made on YouTube in Dimensions of Love, or that I'm even making this podcast. So it feels very beautiful. I really feel the hearts of the universe is within us all, and we can all feel it, and we all navigate towards it. So a lovely observation of life is exactly that connection that we have to everything, that we're all interconnected. So I was being drawn to do this podcast about satsang. So let's just begin with a satsang. The word in itself breaks down into sat, which means truth or reality, and sang meaning association or company. So therefore, satsang literally translates into association with truth. But it's more than just being in the presence of truth. It's about actively engaging in it. I usually say, I'm following the truth. And that is what I always do. And the truth changes moments to moments. It depends on everything. But the everlasting, or the thing that's never changed, the thing that's always pure, the true essence of who we are, if we follow that truth, we will always have the clarity. Always. So, if we can just be present with the truth and immerse ourselves in discussions and teachings and practices that illuminates the path towards self-discovery and understanding the nature of reality in itself, because this is what we are. We are in this together, and satsang is an active listening. We're listening to a spiritual teacher or studying a sacred text, and the sacred text holds energy. So everything that we are reading, that we are consuming in ourselves, we are consuming that energy from the book, if that makes sense. So engaging in this devotion, it can also be singing. We're singing or we're chanting. And I can find myself, when I sing, just open my throat, make some sounds and try to open it up. Or sometimes I just feel called to open a genre on my Spotify. I'm not commercializing anything here, but it's just, I'm opening an app, a music app, and I'm just going in, I'm just feeling for a genre, and then I'll go into it because Spotify has the lyrics. So I'm reading the lyrics and I'm singing to it. And it can be just a simple thing. It doesn't have to be that we're chanting if we find it difficult, because the mind can block in different ways. So if we want to chant, and the chant is from Sanskrit and it's difficult, it's a different language. We don't even know what we're saying. And that might cause us to block ourselves. So simplify it. Just, it doesn't have to be like, oh, if you are chanting something that is divine, you're better. No, it's every sound is a frequency. So singing in all of its forms creates that frequency, creates that opening. So when we're singing or we're chanting, or we're just simply sharing our experience and our insights with each other. Okay, that's what we do in the satsang. So the key element is to be sincere in all of this, to connect to the truth, to question, to explore, to learn together. That's what you do in the satsang. You come together in an energy form. And, some people might feel like, I don't need a satsang, and I feel it comes from the ego mostly, that I don't need to be in a place where everyone is like this. Then all of a sudden I will belong to another tribe, and my whole point is to be free, because that's what we are when we are studying about this. Is the ultimate is to become free. So becoming free, and now I am belonging to a group. And the ego can find a resisting and kind of ruin that experience by saying, oh, but now you're going to be a part of something. And that's not freedom. And we'll try to, because the mind is a good manipulator. You can try to change it and shift it, because ultimately the ego will never surrender freely and be like, okay, I'm ready to go, I'm surrendering. It has to be the divine lifting that up from you. So it can never be made by yourself. You say that you've conquered your ego, and there he is standing behind you like a shadow, tapping you on your shoulders. You're not free, So if we can just understand that satsang brings a vibrational, when you're in a place and it's like low vibration. So then especially if you're an empath, you can feel like if you're in a space where there's a lot of low vibration, that you are starting to behave not accordance to your higher self. And you start to have thoughts, or all of a sudden they're gossiping, and all of a sudden you are being drawn into to start talking about someone that you really didn't want to start to talk about, or would do if you were in a different setting. That is all the vibration. That's why when many people are together in something, they create a vibration, so the thought forms becomes the same. That can be in a family setting, that can be in a company, that can transform basically into wherever you are. So in satsang, it is the opposite. It is a place where everyone is there because they're seeking illumination. They're seeking the truth. So they're in this together of looking at each other in a mirroring, in a place where all of them had the courage to step outside their ego, to step into a place where they might die completely, but they are ready to sacrifice completely, because this is they want the truth, so they are seeking the truth and they're walking towards the truth. And so satsang provides that opening, that frequency shift where everyone is in the highest frequency possible. That's why satsang can bring more awakening when we're present to it. And of course, it has to come from your own heart and from your own wanting. And it's all about timing and when it's supposed to happen. So we don't have to push. It will come naturally if you decide to join the satsang. And which teacher do you feel resonates with you? And it has all those different qualities and flavors that is combining you to why you will choose a certain teacher or a certain lesson in a certain time where you will sit in a satsang, if you ever will. So Sangha is a different thing here. So what is a satsang compared to Sangha? So Sangha refers to the community of spiritual seekers. They come together to support each other in their journey. So this is more of, satsang is a sitting, but a Sangha is a community that is created. And the collective of individuals they're sharing the same goals, so they're growing spiritually and they are living a more meaningful life, because Sangha provides a nurturing environment. That's what it's all about, so that we can learn from each other, to share our struggles and our achievements, and to receive encouragement and guidance. And so it is like a Sangha is more of a spiritual family. Sometimes we need to find a belonging. Others can just go to a satsang once by themselves, and that is what they want, and that is the only thing that they need to find the clarity. They just need to be in the present, in that frequency, so that they can get it without disturbance from the ego. While a Sangha is more, you start to belong. It is, you want to belong and you want a family, and this will be your spiritual family. Like, it's a place where you can feel safe. And when we can feel safe, we can start to be vulnerable and authentic. Because when you're not safe, you don't trust anyone, and it's difficult. So this will be a place where, if you want to feel that family feeling, then you should definitely read more about Sangha. So you learn also in Sangha about compassion, empathy, and interconnectedness of all beings, not just here on earth, of all beings. Okay, we learn to see ourselves in others, so we see them mirroring us, and we recognize and share that human experience. So there's no judgment in different parts of that we have. So it is all about community and practices and enlightenment and gatherings of deepening. And this introspection that satsang provides is really opening layers of your consciousness in your spiritual journey. And it offers such a deep guidance and clearness understanding, where in different settings it can be very distorted because there are many energies everywhere. So it's difficult to sometimes decipher what is right and what is mind energy and what is this energy that keeps invading, because sometimes different energy don't have boundaries. They want to come through, and they're parasites. And a parasite doesn't have a boundary. It just wants to survive. It leeches on you energetically. So even if you have strong boundaries, a parasite will not consider that as a boundary at all, because they are considering their survival. And in a setting as a satsang, those energy cannot survive in that environment. They just think they can't even enter because it's way too high frequency for them to even be able to. So it gives a lot of reflections, the satsang, which is very beautiful. And it provides this beautiful, again, space of self-reflection and introspection. And ultimately, this brings us to that we are transforming, and it becomes a catalyst in our personal transformation. And it doesn't matter which layer we enter in this. And every time we grow, we find something new, and we have a deeper understanding. And it's like a Fibonacci sequence. It's like a spiral staircase where every time that we enter this new level of the staircase, something is different in that staircase. And the next time there's a chair there, and the next time it is the walls are red. So it can be these subtle things that maybe you can't see at once, but in layer and in time, you can see that change is actually happening. And what I want to touch on, Satori, which is Japanese, and again, Sangha and Satsang comes from the Sanskrit, and Satori is from Japan, so it's a Japanese term that is associated with the Zen Buddhists, and it refers to a moment of sudden awakening, a sudden enlightenment. And here's what I always say, that some people, I had a Satori. In my awakening, I had a Satori. I was unconscious completely. There was no, I have none of this like, I was interested in spiritual text, or I even knew any spiritual teachers or anything. I had the religion. I came from Islam, and I lived in Sweden when I was very young. I came from war, and I lived in Sweden very young. I was 5, and it was Christianity here. So I embrace all of that. But since I never came from, my mother and my father never taught me about Islam and how to follow it. It was very loosely. I knew that I had love for God in some sense, but there was no direction. And I always embraced everywhere where I was, because I had this inner knowing saying that I'm supposed to be here. I'm supposed to embrace everything here, because there's something that I need from this place, and this place needs from me. But I could never put it together how until Satori happened. So when this sudden awakening, just enlightenment, it was a flash of an insight into this true nature of reality, just seeing it and just being like, knowing everyone's attention, seeing everything clear. So no drugs, nothing to enhance it, just absolutely clearly of very sudden and unexpected, just like Satori is described. So never, when you see another person, I always say this, never judge and say, that person is so unconscious, nothing's going to happen. You never know that they might be light years ahead of you. If they get a Satori, it just happens all of a sudden. I mean, something explodes and they know more than you can ever imagine. Because I know this for myself. There's so many gifts that I have today that were completely closed in, that were never understood, things that I could see. I mean, things that I couldn't even describe to myself, even if I met myself before this. It's beyond all logic and reasoning. So Satori transcends the intellectual understanding and logical reasoning. None of that is. So it's a direct experience of the truth and cannot be grasped through thoughts alone. So you can't even, I couldn't even understand it through my thoughts, like what just happened, how it happened. Like the mind just glitched. It just couldn't go further. It was like, this is my stop. I can't go beyond this. And you can imagine how frustrating that is for the mind. But I was completely in peace beyond the mind. I was like, wow, this beyond the words, this space here is amazing. Did this ever exist? It can be, it's emotional and so transformative. And it's like, it's just, you feel the joy, the peace, you're just like, wow, everything is amazing. Everything looks clear. It's the shifting. It's the perception of the world in itself. It's just, you're just, wow, you're just amazed of everything. And of course, it is not the end goal. Satori is significant as a milestone, but it's not the end goal because, again, there is no final destination. The point of awakening is understanding, or if we observe this observation of life, is that we understand that we get to see the glimpse of the true nature, and we cannot be conscious 24/7. That will be exhausting. But if we understand that glimpse and the truth, and we keep ourselves towards that truth, so we sit in meditation, or we chant, or we sing, or we dance, whatever it is that takes us into the moment, steps out of the mind where there's no past, no present. And I would say, like Echart Tole says, just a simple thing to understand it, that when we say it's a rose, we're already deciding what it is. When we say they call it a rose, then that's a whole different energy of it, because we human have made up all of these names. It's not actually what all of this is. This all is just the way that it is. The mind wants a name and a shape and a form and understanding where it comes from, but in true essence, if we can just look at a flower and just look at it from a point of not even thinking that it is a flower, just looking at it freshly, then we can see the flower of what it truly is. And that is to be in the present moment, to not have any filters of the mind that are invading that space. So, Satori, again, it can be triggered when we have this in different practices, if we practice meditation and other, but again, it doesn't have to have any limitations, because it just happens. That's what's so beautiful with Satori. It gives everyone the freedom to know that you're not ahead, and you should stay humble, and we never know where we can find each other in this journey. So stay humble in this understanding. And if you feel like you want to connect with others, you should definitely research more of Sangha or be a part of it. And of course, if your heart and your soul is calling you to join a satsang, just be prepared that many things will fall away that doesn't belong to you, and it can be very difficult, and your ego will probably resist it. But if you feel in your heart a calling to do so, then you should absolutely do it. And no matter where you are in this awakening or this observation of life, just stay open to more. If we can do that, if we can just stay open to different perspectives, we allow this shift or this consciousness to elevate within ourselves. Because again, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear, is the saying. And this is exactly how it is. So it's important to remember that Satori is a personal, subjective experience. It cannot be fully described or explained even with words like this, but just stay humble with everyone, no matter where you are in this experience of seeing it. And together, Satsang and Sangha, they form a powerful combination, because Satsang provides the wisdom and the guidance, while Sangha provides the support of the community. So I hope that we can all embrace the wisdom that comes with connecting with the truth and with the strength. And this connection that we have to one another also. So may we all continue to learn and grow and support each other in this beautiful journey of life. I hope you enjoyed this episode of A Lovely Observation of Life, and I hope to see you in the next podcast. Have a wonderful day, and I'm sending love your way, everyone. Bye.